or if you just bought a brand new sewing machine, there's a lot in the mail. This little beauty right here. It's called a Sanko. It's made by Janome. And this is a vintage machine. And there are certain steps you want to take, especially when you get a vintage machine. Before you left off on my list was plug it in. Make sure that, and then that's how you, this is what I call my, what do they call it? And if everything's good, and you thread it, and you do some samples, you may have to touch the tension, you may not. I never had to touch the tension on a single one I've gotten. Believe it or not, I haven't. I've had to change needles, find a better one. I did have to change the tension of the presser foot because it was too tight. And so that told me the person that used it before, it's a vintage Janome. And another one, but this one looks so attractive. And it's a heavy duty one. I can tell by its construction. This thing weighs a ton. But I didn't pay a fortune for it. Believe it or not, for $12, it was worth it. Yeah. The shipping cost more than the sewing machine. It's like portable heavy duty. What I had to do was lift it up. Lift it up because it's bugger's heavy. And that's where you can see the actual model number on the plate in the front. And then I had to slide out the bobbin door. So I'm going to move this down so you can see more of what I'm talking about. I actually borrowed some of my husband's tools. But I have a little toolbox. This is a Chapman manufacturing from Durham, Connecticut, made in USA. That's why I bought it. Not just because it's pink, but because it's made in USA. Promoting USA businesses. That's what I do. Channel locks. I had to open them up, put it on that wheel after I had sprayed it with the dry lubricant, snapped it on eating it or anything. It's just from sitting and not being used. They will tighten up for some crazy reason, but they will do that. This particular model was also called the Imperial, the Janome Imperial. And what I found out was, I don't know if it's all Janome models, but I know that there was a belt for the motor. If a machine does not have a belt on it when you get it, sometimes that happens when you especially get it from a thrift store, you measure actually where the belt would sit. So you don't, it's not this number from the outside, but whatever that measurement is the inside. So I always have extras around because you just never know. And the Janomes typically take a 13 3/4 inch belt, motor belt, lug motor belt, some people call it. So I snapped it in place, the little bobbin winder, and the needle was going up and down. I fixed that problem, and then I snapped it again, and that bobbin winder wasn't turning at all. It would not turn. And I thought, now, since I've been doing this for so many years, you know what makes them turn inside. But if you're a beginner, you don't know what turns them inside. It's a little thing that looks like, and it's the same on new ones. They're just a different size. It's one of these. It's a rubber gasket kind of washer thing, but it's rounded all around. So I got out my little care of, and when I say poorly taken care of, too much oil or too much grease or not enough grease or the grease is all dried up in there. There are gears inside a solid metal machine like this that require gear grease, and I use synthetic gear grease on all my machines. We call the main gear and the main shaft the worm gear. I don't know, I guess because it looks like a big worm. So when my bobbin winder wasn't turning, I said, okay, got to open it up. And it's just too to do with anything up here. that doesn't work, the bobbin winder or whatever, that's when you open it up. And another tool that you can get, and they come in a, well, I got mine in this little 3-piece set mark for like $3 or $3.99 or something. 3 magnetic pieces. This piece, there's a long wand kind. This one actually telescopes. So if you drop something on the floor and you don't want to, bend your back over, you pick it up. You get one of these, and when you're taking out screws, especially these plate screws, if you don't have the little metal bowl, I don't lose any screws because I immediately put them in here, and they don't go anywhere. Like they're not going anywhere. They stay there. And there's the zipper foot I was looking for. Figure. But so I had to take the top off. So I've already unscrewed these. And I'll show you how this little gizmo works. Watch this. Grab and put it right there. And you want to make sure that you know where you took these out of. Draw yourself a little picture. Or, I used to do that. I used to take a piece of paper and I would say top. That's where they went on my piece of paper. So it's kind of like a jigsaw puzzle, but first I found there's a lot of oil in the bottom of this case, and that happens a lot with these machines that are part of the base. So a solid machine, a solid metal machine, you only, and then just in key spots where metal is rubbing against metal, like an elbow, how the elbow moves like this? Those are the spots you want one drop. Nowhere else. Don't put it everywhere. Now, the newer machines, they have a map in the manual, from what I understand, of new sewing machines, and it will tell you put oil here, 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 here. I don't know if they tell you how much to put, but one drop. I know a lot of people like, that's not enough. Check it out. See if it's, you start hearing metal rubbing metal, then yeah, that's a good sign. But this machine was used, and I can tell you how I can tell, but because what I found in there, this good and dirty inside. And I just have this thing. I see dirt, and I go, no, it's got to go. So I've got rags and paper towels I use, and even Q-tips for spots in them. Gasket is, I think that's what they call it officially. I'm going to take the camera and show you where the gasket is. I'm going to show you how to take it off. I'm not going to actually take it off because I've already taken it off and I've already put the new gasket on it. And you'll see why. Why the bobbin winder was not operating is because of that gasket. So let me grab the camera for the stitch width. And you've got the length dial here. And then this is reverse. You just push it in. And this machine's neat. It's got an embroidery, silk, and normal, and the person's name who used to own it. I'm going to cover that up. And you can see it's kind of dirty inside. You could use little teeth. And you see how black they are? Well, they're that black because this gasket that should look like that. You ready for this? That's the gasket I took out of it. It is completely flat on this side. That side is completely flat. See that? That's why when it was round, it wasn't moving because there's nothing for tension. The hand wheel. Okay, you see the little teeth in the hand wheel there? That's what that gasket has to rub up against in order to turn. And now you can see it's turning. Okay. Just took a screwdriver, unscrew it. Carefully lift this out. This wire fits into this hole and also just rests above where the gasket is. So if you are doing this the first time, take your camera, phone, take a picture. I can tell you one of the best things you can do for yourself when you are working on a sewing machine or getting a new used one is to take, we've got cameras on our phones now, to take a photo of whatever you're going to mess with. If you're going to mess with something like that, take a photograph, even take it out. So when you go to put something back in your work to do, to make a piece of paper with a little, sketched out drawing of parts of the machine, as you go, you get to learn where stuff goes anyway. And the length of the screw, some of the screws, the longer ones, you think, oh, well, it has to go on the top. Well, they don't go on the top some all the time. So a diagram, I actually will take pictures of as I'm putting it together. I don't own a Singer sewing machine, and it's a Singer. And I felt so bad for the sewing machine that I said, and the guy basically gave it to me for $10. And it doesn't work. It was rusted everywhere, and I got it finally so that the bobbin case, it moves so we can stitch. It wasn't like a 1960s model either. It's like 80s, 90s. So we'll see if it turns out to be a really good machine. That'll be probably the only Singer that I will ever own. I have my preferences, and this one is a nice, it's kind of, I didn't know if it was going to be a quiet machine. You don't know until you get one, and you certainly don't know. To do that, there are some other tools. Turned it into a toolbox. They have some unusual tools. This is a standard, what they call a sewing machine toolbox. It has the little ratchet handle, and it's got straight edge, all different sizes. It has the Phillips heads and all of that. It's got a regular driver handle you can use, and this thing's great. Then I have these tiny little kind of like plier things. I don't even know where I found them from, but I have them. Because you have tight spots that you can't always get with your fingers, and kind of thin and good. A regular, because sometimes I get people that call up and they can't bring the machine to me, so I go to them. An old toothbrush that's in the cleaning process, which I'm going to leave out to do that. And your local hardware store. They're not like the kind you use on your car or your motorcycle or anything like that. They're really small. Specifically, they fit any sewing machine. And I just happen to have a couple that are really long. These come in handy too, for things to reach down in there. I have a little tactical flashlight that I use. I just got this one because my other one kind of pittered out on me. It's a beautiful size for my toolbox. It is very, very bright. Shop light. So what I would probably do is get one of my cell phone type tripods and rig this up on it and have it sit right over top so it'd be hands-free. I don't have something like that. I could sit it in the general area on top, and it lights that whole inside for me. These little wrenches, there's a machine that I have that has a 10 centimeter hex nut in it, and it's in such a place that I can't really get to it. Actually, it's in a serger, and these were $16, and all I needed was the 4 small ones. Actually, there's 8 because they're metric and regular, and I took the ones I needed out and I gave the rest of them to my husband, but that's fine because he doesn't use the tiny ones. So it was a trade-off. What else do I usually have in here? I usually have, and I don't see it at the moment, and I'll have a couple of regular like sewing machine screwdrivers thrown in here. Trying to think of, I know what I'm thinking of. It's a dental tool. It's not in this particular, but you can get these for 99 cents all day long. These are great for the screws on here to get them undone. You don't have a big long, handle, and you just use them to get a good grip on them. They come in a set, a straight edge and a Phillips head. So I have those. Tweezers. Gotta have tweezers. Sometimes you need a I'm going down the tool list. The pair of these, they're bent, 45-degree bent. Different jewelry sets, so I'll keep one in my sewing machine toolbox so I can grab things with this. And I have a small pair. This is my channel lock, just a little bitty one. Don't know where I got it either, but I have it. And trying to make sure I don't miss anything. So I can find it. There it is. Okay, you know how you get those dental cleaning kits? Well, in there's one of these. They look all around inside your mouth and they're looking for cavities and this and that, and this is what they use. Why not use it on your sewing machine? So I get down in there and I put that mirror down there and I shine this and I can see underneath. Then, okay, they call it a racing gizmo. I can see my feed dogs. I can put this actually up under the feed dogs almost and make sure that there's no dirt or any threads or anything caught in there. Those are things you want to look for in any sewing machine that you get used. This particular machine, this turns it on and off. But on the front, so that I know it's on, there's a light. And God, this thing is heavy. Okay, that made that bicep really twinge. Okay. I should have grabbed it like this. So, a little bit easier that way. Okay, so the tension to settings on the sewing machine is, this is your presser foot tension. This little button on top. Turn you so you can actually kind of see better. Here we go. This is for the tension for the presser foot. The tension on the needle below. This tension dial, in some machines, it's up built inside. The newer ones, the tension is kind of like inside here. That's my thread spool. So for beginners, when you go to thread a bobbin, you have to disengage the needle. Otherwise, the needle's going to go up and down, up and down, up and down while you're trying to thread your bobbin, and it puts wear and tear in your machine, and it can mess stuff up big time. So let's get this in here. It's not lined up for me. That's why it's not going. And the screwdriver I use is this little guy. Yeah. I need to turn up the right side. See, it's in a ratchet. I love this one. And get down to the end here. I could use a regular screwdriver. Okay. Now, engage means it snaps right up to it. So I have a bobbin. We just had one to show because I need to thread one. Where did you go? Oh, there's the bobbin. Oh, there it is. And it's a short project, so I'm not going to need a whole lot to thread. So there's that. And the thread I need. I started to use it over here. There's this one. So we're gonna... I thought this was broken at first because normally the part that the thread goes on to wind on the bobbin has this piece that's underneath, it's on top. So I don't know if we're on this before moved it underneath or what, but I'm gonna leave it there because I don't want to break it. So I thought, well, that's different. Instead of being on top, it's on there underneath. And you always want it to cross over itself. So that's why it was so odd for me. So I'm like, huh? So it goes in this way. So it crisscrosses itself, and that gives it the proper tension to go on the bobbin. I hand wind it around. I don't know. However, some people will actually put it through the little holes in there, which is technically you're supposed to put it through one of the holes and just have a little. You either pull out that's set in the hand wheel, or side wheel you turn towards you. You always turn everything towards you, no matter what it is. What that does is that disengages the needle. The needle shouldn't go up and down. And it allows the machine to wind the thread from the spool onto the bobbin. And I lost my pedal. Okay. This one is a smart machine. I think it knows. There it goes. It knows me. Oh, this thread is a bad spool. Yeah, it's a spool that's messing me up. So, all right. Try this way. Now I'm holding the thread because I got a wobbly spool. That's what I'm talking about. See, this is not a good one to put on this machine. It's very lightweight. So, but it's threaded the thread on the bobbin just fine. So then I'm going to tighten it back up. Take that off. And I need to shut the top of this off. Oh, you get off there. The screws back. Or actually the top. It wouldn't do anything unless I put the top back on. I thought, well, that's really weird. But maybe that's just for this particular year and model and all that good fun stuff. So I need to line it up to put the other screw back in there. So I do want to do a couple of. And with one screw in it, it was two. That's all it really needs right now. Then I want to show you another part. You want to check for threads being tangled. The bobbin wire, this one, which the newer ones, you have to unscrew the screw. This one popped open. You just pop that little door open and you can see everything in there and how it looks. And there's my flashlight up. So let me take a peek. It's clean in here. So I gotta wipe some of that out. And that'll do with this thing right here. Nice. I use Q-tips a lot, but if I can get to it with a paper towel, I just get it in there. You don't want to see it puddle. You see oil puddle in your machine. It's not good for it. It'll make your stitches inconsistent. And maybe they thought they were doing it a favor, but really weren't. So I'm gonna have to get the Q-tips on this one. So that's not good for it. But anyway, that's how you look for it. Now I have a small piece of. Okay, where did I put that? Okay, here's the bobbin with the thread. And put that in there. A lot of people don't like the portable tabletop ones like this because they say it's hard to put the bobbin back in. Well, it is, but it isn't. But what you do is you kind of wiggle it. And it should snap and not roll around. And that snapped in just. This is how I'm going to test and make sure the timing's right. But this is all how I get to learn how it gets threaded. Because I haven't looked at the manual. And your machines, no matter when they were made, they're pretty similar. in the way they are threading. So I took that as this has to go through there. And I'm going to say it goes in through the top and down, because usually they go from top down anyway. Pull that through. Then I'm going to grab the manual, see if I'm right. And it always comes down. I call this a right-handed machine because it's the opposite way. It's the strangest thing to thread, but it sews great. So, and it goes through the discs on the tension disc, up. And if I need to worry about that or not, I know I need to go here. So I've got my arm all the way up to the top. You always want to have it in the highest position when you're threading any machine. I don't know if there's something going on with this tension disc. It seems kind of wiggly, but I'll find out. And there is a thread guide here. Any little place that it's where you kind of snap it in, that's a thread guide. There's several there. And there's one right by the needle. Always seems to be on the left. This is a straight and zigzag stitch. And this is great for teaching someone how to sew, for beginners. And it's very heavy duty. So you can sew with the right needle. You can sew denim with this thing. It's a workhorse. Pull it through the needle. That's a big needle. I think it looks like a thread from above. Pull it back up. And if your timing's right, you're going to pick up the loop. And the timing is on the money at that. It just amazes me with that one. Now I'm going to guess, because of the pressure foot on the tension on the pressure foot is up kind of high, which means it's not real tight. And I'm going to guess they were sewing with denim, because thicker fabric, they need less pressure on the fabric. So wherever I put, there it is. And I have a very lightweight piece of fabric, so let's see what happens. It's got a regular zigzag foot on it. Put that presser foot down. I always put the needle in the material, because otherwise you put a thread. And let's see what it is when I put it to the test of the longest length but straight stitch. Okay, it's on normal. Okay. Not a single stitch in there. Now, since I know the timing's not off on the presser foot, and it's really, really loose, there's a red line on this. I don't know if it's on modern ones anymore, or if it's only on, the older ones. But usually that means that's the average tension that it should be set to. And that means that ring rests on that red line. So let's see if that fixes it. It didn't do that. So now what do we do? The next thing I can think of is that the needle is bent. Yeah. Or it could be the stitch length. So I'm going to take the stitch length down to a 2 instead of the 4. 4 would be like for gathered stitches. 2 is a little smaller. See if that does anything different. Like that. Let's see. Nope. You see how it came out like that? Then I took the thread through. I noticed that it automatically went behind this little wire. Now this is different. I've never seen that. Most machines, the wire's on the outside and you pull it up through there. So it could be that I did this backwards. I could have put in the tension backwards. That's when I get the manual. Because it's going to tell me. Let's see. Threading the machine is on page. Thread bobbin cage. Thread the needle. So remove. Right needle. 14. So I'm guessing it's on 14. Doesn't look as it says. Thread your machine. Okay. So it goes in there. Looking at the tension, which is part of the threading of it. And that little wire is in the wrong place. That little wire is supposed to be somewhere else. It is supposed to be, believe it or not, really in the wrong place. We're going to figure out how to fix that. Here it goes. It is there, comes out, and then it goes up. Ah, I think I see. I can get it under the dang thing. Come on, don't argue with me. It got pulled out of whack. That's why it won't stitch. Well, it's part of the reason. So, if I can get it, don't grab the thread there. Just take that thread out of there for a minute. Because there's it. Well, because it has it there. BI here. It's supposed to be over here. Wow. It's almost as if someone put it on there the wrong way. That's what it looks like. Or all right, this little wire is supposed to be here somehow. Let me look at my other machine real quick. I'll do a comparison. We can't look at that one. That's the problem. I can't look at the tension. Goes down, up. Oh, okay. Goes down, up. I'm gonna take that one out. Goes down this way, up through here, and then down the sky. So it's making sense to me. Okay, that does make sense. If this is popped out, so I may have to get a new tensioner wire, but if I can finagle this one, I'll be all right. Yeah, I see it. Okay. Nope. No, darling. It's popped out somehow. There's a little hook on this thing. And that little hook this is supposed to be like this has been bent out of whack. I know how they're supposed to be. Way too wide. Where's my tools? Figuring stuff out. Okay. All right. Your sweetheart. You need to be. squished like that. It's much more what it's supposed to look like. Okay. Because this and there's a little metal bar that it has to be behind. Like that. Right. No, sweetheart. It's in here sideways, and it shouldn't be. I think someone tried to finagle their own. I'm going to do a little fancy footwork here, just to make sure I don't have to adjust anything else. Just like this. It's supposed to be further out, and it's not. That's okay. At least I know what I got fixed. And put this back in here. This way. Because I don't believe the needle is bent. I'm going to go on up. But bent needle will make no stitches either. So you don't want to touch tensioners if you don't absolutely have to. Ta-da. Okay. So I'm going to do my own little thing here with this thread, because it's not supposed to go in the wire. It's supposed to just kind of like rest on it. It gives it that little bit of tension. I'm going to do it like this. That in there. Put the needle down. Okay. Now I tighten this up all the way. And let's see what happens when I do that. Other than tension wire, so that's I'm going to pick at this needle real quick. It's an interesting needle. It's a very interesting needle. It's an unusual needle. It has a strange shape about it. In fact, this shouldn't be doing that. There we go. Oh, that's a serpent needle too. Oh, wow, that's in there. Here, get a regular needle. Okay. This side's not. Where are you? Okay. I'll go. I will go. So this one. Yeah. Hope that's what this one's. I have never, in a million years, have I ever seen a needle that looks like that. It's rounded. Maybe it's specific to this kind of machine. I don't know. Yep. I'm going to put this one in here. Let's see. Plus, this is a super high machine. Let's see what that does. Come on. It's still good. Let's see what happens now. It's the tensioner messing it up. This fabric up. Oh, it's actually 4 layers now. So it was on 6. Strange. Definitely the tensioner. Or this. Try that. If it's not pulling through, I'm going to watch them feed dogs now. And they're moving properly. Yeah. So it's the tension wire. It's going to need to be either replaced or fixed. And it should be running nice and smooth. So I'm going to take a real close to this manual, fix that little thing. And this is what you do when you get a new machine that is used. A brand new one, you don't touch a thing. The video also. But when this bugger, when I get her stitching, then I'll show you how to clean up and where to grease it, stuff like that. I hope you've enjoyed. And so now you have. And sorry for the length, but please give me a thumbs up for educational purposes. And also share my videos, share them with everybody. And leave me a comment or two. Maybe you've come across this and you've got a machine like this. I like figuring things out, and I figured out that tension wire is messed up. So, and that's the only thing left. And I changed the needle out. So, don't be afraid to peek inside your machine when you get it. And you always got me to leave a comment too and say, hey, can you help me with this? And I'll do my best. So, have fun with your new machine, your new vintage machine, or your new used machine. And make sure you do one thing. Once you get it running, God bless.